Greetings my friends and welcome to a random Wednesday night video where we're talking about my worst ever GT performance. This weekend I went 1-4 playing Ultramarines, the first time I have not played Blood Angels at a GT ever in fact. I only had 5 practice games with Ultramarines, so I wasn't expecting too much, but I think it gave me a really interesting perspective, and in this video I'm just going to tell you some of the learnings. I'll do another video where I dive into the games, and 2 of the games were like a couple of points, so it was very easily be a much better than 1-4, but regardless, I feel like playing something completely different, seeing how it performed through a Blood Angels player's eyes has opened my eyes to a few things, and I've got some learnings, and I just want to talk about them. So that's why there's a random Wednesday night video. So stay tuned, let's get into this. So on Friday this week, I actually have a pretty cool video coming out about a new Blood Angels list that I actually really want to play. But for tonight, we're talking about the GT. So the goals for the video, right? I wanted to share any learnings about my opponent's armies and any general 40 key learnings I took from playing the game through like a shooting army that was completely different. We're still Space Marines, but the army was completely different, right? And I wanted to say, I've got some reasonably big takeaways from playing my first event with a different army. And P.S. you should probably not go to a tournament ever if you've only played 5 games with an army and you actually built the army around a non-competitive model that's just designed to kill, right? I took the Stormraven. I've had that model for 25 years. I wanted to play it. I wanted a change. So this is exactly what I did. So this was what the army looked like, and it had a tiny, tiny footprint on the table, and I only played 5 games before I went to the tournament, and annoyingly, I'd actually won all 5, and I actually think winning is really bad because, well, winning before a tournament is really bad because you don't get forced to analyze and think. You know, you play your practice game, you win the game, you walk away, you think, oh, well, my list's good, I won the game. You actually want to lose a few games in the run up to the tournament because it will make you think, how could I have done that better? Was that the right move? You know, like, I don't obsess in my head about victories, but I do obsess in my head about losses. So maybe this is part of the thing about this video is like, we did get some losses, so we can talk about them and what we can learn. So I won't make too much about the list. I did a whole other video on the list. I'll link it up in the top left-hand corner. It's like my Stormraven, my Stormlance Stormraven list and why I think it's strong. Spoiler, it wasn't super strong at this event, and it has no footprint because there were 775 points inside the Stormraven. That was like 10 Hellblasters, a Captain, a Tech Marine, and the Dreadnought. And then there was about 400 points in Strategic Reserve, which was like the Centurions, Tigris, and the Stern Guard. So I've only got like 7 models on the table at the start of the game, which which isn't great, but that wasn't why. That was like, I knew this wasn't going to be a high-scoring competitive list. I was taking it for fun. And did I have fun with this thing? Yes, 100%. So in every video, I do ask if you enjoy my content to please consider subscribing. I'm here on YouTube every week trying to make you a better Warhammer 40,000 player, and maybe you can learn from some of my mistakes. So what were the big takeaways? And this list did have a lot of killing power, right? Like Double Oath with Gilliman, that's 2 units, rerolling all hits +1 to wound. And literally almost everything in the list was twin linked, so +1 to wound rerolling, it was just bonkers, right? So this list could kill and slaughter my opponents, but that obviously doesn't win games of Warhammer. My strategy with this list was really to try and kill and slaughter them and then do some scoring in the final turns once I'd slaughtered them in the first 3 turns. Not a good strategy. I also was potentially hamstrung by the units I wanted to play, right? I wanted to play the Stormraven. I would say do not play the Stormraven to tournament. You could maybe play it in Stormlance. It is kind of fun, but far too many armies can counter it, and it also feels like far too many eggs in one basket. But if you want to play it, yes, sure, you can have fun if you want to play Stormlance. But I also don't really allow myself the opportunity sometimes to experiment too much, and that would be like plasmas. And this is the first... Probably the 5 practice games are the only 5 games I've ever played Hellblasters, so I've now played Hellblasters in 10 games. I think 11. I think I played them once with Blood Angels and didn't really like them. So by doing something different, it's forced me to use another unit, which I typically don't like because I don't like overcharging plasmas. And now I've got like a pool of knowledge. Like, I've played Hellblasters across 10 games. I know how many are going to die to Hazardous. I know what that feels like. So that maybe opens my eyes to maybe other units that have hazardous or other units that have plasmas. Like, playing something different has just changed my perspective a little bit, right? I've also seen the extra value, like an extra CP can give every single turn via Guilliman's 12-inch Primarch aura, and that can't be understated, right? Like, CP or command points are just such a valuable resource in Warhammer 40,000, and having 5 extra in a game is like crazy useful. I know you get some for throwing away missions, but realistically you want to be scoring missions. Blood Angels don't typically have great ways to get extra CP, and I feel like some of our lists could use the extra CP. So this has kind of opened my eyes to, oh my god, if you just have 5 extra CP every game, you're feeling pretty good shape, right? Like, it just helps phenomenally. And hell, you can, you know what I was saying about plasmas? You can CP reroll hazardous. Not something that I commonly do, or not something that was even front and center in my mind. Another thing I noticed about the new chapter approved this year is every single mission has a center objective, right? And most players in armies are scared to try and take it. In almost every single of my games at this tournament, for at least turn 1 and 2, and sometimes turn 3 as well, no one was willing to commit to the center objective. Because normally you commit to the center objective, if you're going first, the second player shoots you off. Even if you're going second, you move on your turn, the other player will just shoot you off, right? So no one was really committing to the center objective, except the guy that had like 15 Deathwing Knights. Yeah, he just walked onto the middle and just went, ha, you can't kill me, right? We'll come back to Deathwing Knights in a future video. Oh my god, those guys are obnoxious. But yeah, if you've got the Combi Weapon Lieutenant, yeah, you can maybe move them into the middle. Yeah, you can maybe reactive move. But realistically, the center objective is something that seemed like it was underutilized in a way across multiple games. And I don't know if that was just my army, but it was definitely something that I was thinking about more. I was like, if I could do more, like if I could be sticking the center objective earlier in the game, like that could be very powerful. And sticky objectives are just so damn strong. It's not something I usually take in Marines. Usually I'm with infiltrators, but like I lost a few games here just to people sticking objectives. I've played against sticky objectives before. I've seen top Blood Angels players take intercessors. I mean, the only reason I see to take intercessors is, I mean, you don't take them for their one chainsword or their one power fist, right? You take them for the sticky, and I've gone to a tournament before with sticky intercessors, and I did sort of like them. So I think maybe one of the things that's going to be more tuned in on my brain is like, why am I completely ignoring sticky objectives? Because sometimes they just score a lot of points, and sometimes there's a lot of value in those sticky objectives. Command reroll can also be valuable. Like, don't be afraid to use it. Like, at the last event I was at, if I rolled a 1 with a Vindicator tank in my head, I was like, don't reroll a 1 on the number of shots from the Vindicator tank. That is stupid. The command reroll, a 1 rerolls into 1 half the time, it seems like. I played it against an opponent who had like a swingy tank like that, and literally every time he rolled his 1 or 2 number of shots, he was rolling 5s and 6s. I was like, command reroll can be valuable in certain situations. Don't be afraid to use it. I've previously said, don't use it. It's a wasted CP. I feel like sometimes, especially early in the game, if there's going to be the difference between you getting 6 extra shots and taking out a tank or not taking out a tank, it can 100% be valuable. Yes, sometimes it will waste your CP, but sometimes, I mean, it's a dice game after all, right? You can get lucky. So sometimes don't be too afraid to use it. I've definitely felt that. Don't beat yourself up on the dice, right? Like, sometimes dice do just go against you. I've seen this a few times this event. I've seen it go my way before in another event. I think if you play enough games, like in my head, I'm always like, oh, if you play enough games, the dice kind of average out. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you can just get screwed. If it happens to you, so be it. If it happens for you, so be it. I don't get hung up on dice. I sometimes do that. I was actually in a game that I'd lost by 2 points, and I'm still thinking about the last game in my head. It's wasted energy, right? The dice will go against you. There's nothing you can do. Even if the probability says you should have survived, in your head, you're like, I should have totally survived that. I didn't. You didn't make the wrong play. The dice just went against you. So don't let that beat you up, right? So we really don't get... Yeah. Past mistakes as well, right? Like, when you come into the next round, even if you lost a round by like 1 point, 2 points, which I did both. I lost by 1 point, I lost by 2 points. Even if you do that, don't get lingering on those past mistakes. You need to refocus on the current game. Shit happens, get on with it, right? Also, play what you enjoy, right? Like, that was almost my most important thing. I've been playing Blood Angels for 8 years. I was a little bit frustrated, probably reasonably frustrated by the last tournament I was at, where it was like I was playing against lots of armies that I felt like I didn't have answers for. And if you feel like you're playing and you're not enjoying yourself and you don't have the answers, I think if you keep doing that, you just get more and more frustrated. At least that's how I felt about it. So I played something I enjoyed, and I had fun, and I didn't put any pressure on myself. And yes, 1-4 is not a great result, but did I have just as much fun as other tournaments? Yeah, probably. And in fact, most of my opponents probably had quite a lot of fun playing against me because, you know, you're playing a Stormraven. I think most people are just like, wow, a Stormraven at a tournament. It was fun. So play what you enjoy. And if you're not enjoying your current list or your current army, just switch it up, right? Doesn't matter if it's going to be less competitive. Enjoyment, like, ultimately, I am here to have enjoyment. Yes, I want to get better at Warhammer 40,000. Yes, I want to help you guys get better. But if I'm not enjoying myself, I feel like that will come through in my videos, right? Like, I know I've played against Death Guard on the channel, and I've been super negative when you come up against Lord of Contagion that has, let's be real, he just has all the keywords, right? Sustained, Lethals, Lance, he's got them all. And I've not enjoyed it, and people have said in the comments, like, this battle report sucked, you were way too negative. And it was like, yeah, so I've got to be enjoying what I'm doing to give you guys enjoyment. And I think that's something I just feel, right? Like, normally I always enjoy playing Blood Angels. Normally I always feel like I've got a chance of winning the game, so I'm enjoying it. Recently I've been frustrated. Everyone's allowed to be frustrated. But be also, even if you are frustrated, be the best sportsman, most honest player you can be. Every single event, a mistake happens. Sort out with your opponent as honest as you can. And be the best sportsman that you can. Like, I think that's super important, and that's one thing that I really, I feel like all my opponents this weekend was top. There wasn't a single question, you know, there was like one rule question across 5 games, and we sorted it out, and it was super, you know, even though it was a question, we just sorted it out, totally amicable, got someone else's opinion, boom, boom, boom. It was great. I love playing Warhammer 40,000 when your opponent is a great sportsman and honest. So endeavor to do that yourself, because that's like the most important thing, honestly. I would rather do that and lose 5 games, or I'd rather do that like I did this weekend and lose 4 games than win a tournament where every game is like, you know, millimeter measure. Oh, you can't do that. You're 1 millimeter out. I don't know. You know, stuff like that. Yeah, also try and avoid 250-point models with no invulnerable saves. Just Space Marine models, Land Raider Dreamers, Land Raiders, Stormravens, probably not, shouldn't be front and center. Definitely don't build your list around them like I just did, okay? Like, I mean, build your list around them if number 9 is what you're wanting to do, but if you're actually wanting to do well in the tournament, avoid 250-point models with no invulnerable saves. So, things I did really like about playing Stormlance. It was so different to Blood Angels, right? It's like a complete palate cleanser. I felt like after my last event with Angelic Inheritors, I needed a change. I really thought originally it was going to be Iron Storm. I don't really know where the Stormlance came from. Maybe it was just, I think somebody said, like, if you put Stormlance, you can put a Dreadnought inside it. I know some of the pro players have put a Ballistus Dreadnought inside it. I've got this Brutalis for like 3 years now. I was like, alright, I can use my Stormraven, I can use my Brutalis, I can use my Hellblasters. I've not used any of those models, like, ever. So let me use them all. I knew it was intentionally quirky, and I knew that combo massively killed enemies, but would struggle to score. But that wasn't, I mean, like, I came to the event, normally I have a big poster behind me. I've got my green screen up, right? And it's the Bay sign from that old movie. I say that old movie, it's an 80s movie, They Live. And that's the one that he walks into the bank with a shotgun. He's like, I've come here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, but I am all out of gum. That's exactly what this list was, right? Like, I just turned up with a Stormraven, all the Hellblasters and a Dreadnought inside, and I was like, any objective secondary to me just unloading 10 Hellblasters and going to town on 2 of the moment targets is secondary, right? And that's not how you play Blood Angels at all, right? Because Blood Angels have they have to hide, they have to stage, then they have to make obscure charges and all this nonsense, you know? And it's like, this is completely different. I knew it would struggle to score, but I didn't care. I also had no expectations, right? Like, I normally don't go to tournaments with no expectations. Like, I normally go to tournaments thinking I really want to do like 3-0 in day one to give myself a chance to get to the top 5 or something. Whereas in this, like, I knew I'd only played five practice games. I'd been to this event before, like the first GT from this club, and it was just a really fun, friendly event. So I was just going to have fun, to make some friends, and I did make some great friends, and, you know, after a couple of games, chatted to the guys for the entire lunch break, and I think, you know, possibly friends for a long time now. So I had inexperience with the list, and I had no practice, but my goodness, was it fun. And Hellblasters, yeah, they're such a silly unit, but I have actually fallen in love with them. I love how they get lethals all the time with the Lieutenant. I love that when they kill themselves, they can still have their lethals and sustain and shoot again. The amount of times where, like, I'd blow up something with the Hellblasters, I'd leave it on, like, 1 or 2 wounds, and then I'd hazardous, like, 3 guys out, and then the hazardous, they just kill them. They're just like, yeah, we'll finish them off, no problem. Hellblasters, yeah, I don't know if I can play them with Blood Angels, but I might try, because I just think they're a fun, silly unit, and sometimes fun and silly is great. So I got to use the Stormraven gunship. I swear to you, I think I've had this model, I think it's been 25 years. I think I've had it since 4th edition. I don't actually know when it released. But yeah, I think I've had the Stormraven since somewhere like 2006. So maybe 25 years. That's why I wrote 20. Like, I think I've had it 20 years. I think before this tournament, I had played it. I have memory of playing it 1 time. So maybe I played it twice. So it's had 10 games in like 2 months. I think it's time for it to be retired. But would I do it again? Yeah, absolutely. I needed a change, right? So if you've got a Stormraven gunship, and hell, who knows? Maybe it's going to be Legends. And as sick as I am of units going to Legends, at least this thing got to do like a final hoorah before maybe it goes to Legends, because flyers aren't really popular these days. Last edition, I bought the Terrax Siege Drill. I got to take it to 1 tournament, so the same sort of thing. I got to play 5 games with it at a tournament. I think I maybe got 2 or 3 practice games with it, and then it went Legends as well. So, yeah, at least I got to do that, right? Like, maybe before the Stormraven goes Legends, I've played it. I do enjoy fielding Guilliman, right? Like, I hate that Blood Angels have no Primarch. I fielded Guilliman in 9th edition. I enjoy fielding him again. Sometimes when he pops off in combat, he's just bonkers, right? AP 4, flat 4, lethals, strength 14. It's just so nice. So I like playing Guilliman. I think every time he died at this event as well, he stood back up, which helps, right? Oh, do you know what? I think 1 game he didn't stand. Yeah, and 1 game I needed him to come back, he didn't. But I think 4 out of 5 times, he came back to life, which is nice. My Marines were still red, obviously. Like, I'm never going to be painting them Ultramarines. But do you know what? I've enjoyed painting a bit of Guilliman. I've enjoyed painting a bit of Tigris. Centurions with Advance and Charge are cool, but my opinion is they are still too slow, even with Advance and Charge. Because when you roll the 1 on the Advance, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, the Centurions are moving 5 inches again. There was a bunch of games where there was a couple of games where they lived and died on their 9-inch charge, and it was really good. But there was a couple of other games where, like, the Centurions just did nothing. Like, my god, they are slow. They're a fun unit when they get into combat. And also, I think, one time the Centurions were in combat with Nurglings, and they didn't kill a single Nurgling, because they don't get very many attacks, right? It's just 3. And then the Nurglings actually killed a Centurion. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be playing Centurions again, even in Liberator Assault Group. Like, the Advance and Charge for them is cool, they're just too slow. One of the reasons I wanted to play this attachment more was I played Eldar in the last tournament, or Yunari, and with all their reactive moves, their battle focus moves, I've never seen an army be so powerful with movement before. And honestly, that was bonkers, right? Like, I was really impressed with the guy that I playing Eldari, but the fact that he was moving around so much, using all those battle focus moves, were so strong, and it's something that I hadn't really had a chance to play myself. So playing an army where every infantry or biker has a reactive move for 1 CP, and your lieutenant's got a reactive move anyway, so essentially like multiple reactive moves per turn potentially. I want to enjoy and sort of practice that and see what strength that brings, because it's bonkers. Like at one point a Demon Prince came forward and like Guilliman was hanging out with his lone operative, and the Demon Prince was obviously going to charge Guilliman, right? And I was like, oh, that Demon Prince is going to charge and probably kill Guilliman, right? Because the Demon Prince had like the helm, I think, that gives him like strength +1 or attacks +1 and damage +1. So he's sweeping at like 4 damage. He's probably getting like 9 or 10 attacks, hitting on 2s, probably wounding on 2s or 3s. Like he's probably going to do, if he doesn't kill Guilliman, it's going to be a bit of a miracle. So I just went like, ah, fuck it, reactive move the Tech Marine right onto the objective next to me. So now it's like, okay, so your choices are, you still charge Guilliman, which is obviously what you wanted to do, or you have to go and kill the 45-point Tech Marine that's standing on the objective that is obviously going to score me 5 primary points. He ended up killing the Tech Marine, which was probably the right play, and he won the game. But it really shows you examples of like why reactive moves can be so powerful. Because normally you could have just jumped in there and tagged both, but now it's like, oh, well, if you want to kill a Tech Marine, Guilliman's going to be absolutely fine. Guilliman's just going to walk on the objective and kill you, right? So playing an army with multiple reactive moves, at least for 10 games with it, opens your mind to like the potential things that you can do and why it would be good, and you know, Hellblasters jumping back inside transports and all sorts of nonsense, right? I think at one point, like, I probably shouldn't have done this because I ended up losing the game, but my opponent moved and I was like, oh, I'm going to make a reactive move, and he was like, do you mind if I nudge this guy back so he's out with 9 inches so you can't do the reactive move? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I actually did that one time when they moved and I could have overwatched as well. So maybe I was too nice at this event. I wasn't particularly in my like super competitive, I need to win every game. I didn't think I was going to win every game anyway, but yeah, it's an interesting one, right? Like, it just shows you the power of what you can do, and your opponents forget that you can do it. Like, I told my opponent before every turn, I can reactive move if you finish any move within 9 of infantry or bikers. But, like, they forget. They make mistakes. So if I was being a bit more ruthless, there was a few times there I could probably score some more points. If enemies couldn't deal with a Stormraven, my goodness, it can wreck, right? Like, the Stormraven does so much damage, and it's so fun, but at the same time, I don't remember if I mentioned this, but in one of the games, I lost the Stormraven in turn 1 before I even had my shot to fucking indirect fire. I thought this edition was supposed to be less lethal. How the fuck am I losing a transport with toughness 10, 14 wounds to indirect fire in turn 1? But I did. So that was annoying. So the Stormraven didn't do too much wrecking in that game for sure. So things I really disliked about playing Stormlance, right? I had no board presence. Like, I already talked on this. Like, I had literally no board presence at all. And then I actually drew engage on all fronts in turn 1 on all 5 games. Now, apparently, that is 375,000 to 1. But when I make the other video showing the game breakdown, yeah, on all 5 games, I got 1 point in turn 1 from engage on all fronts. There's literally no chance of me being able to do engage on all fronts. I've got 6 fucking units on the board, and I've got, like I already said, like this list has no presence. So I knew I was going to be behind in the early game anyway. I was even further behind because you can't throw engage on all fronts away now. Because I'm always going to score it if I'm going to do 2 quarters for 1 whole point. So I did that. 375,000 to 1 if you pick the same. Because there's like 13 secondaries, right? 13 times 13 times 13 times 13 times 13 divided by inverse against 1. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Yeah, I felt like I had 0 resource, limited resources in this list. Like, every unit in this list killed very, very strong. I had nothing I could afford to trade, right? Like, maybe the Tech Marines I could trade. But yeah, I really didn't want to trade out the scouts as well because I needed them for screening. So this list felt like it was always starved of units to do actions, even though I purposely, like, I didn't put an apothecary with the Hellblasters, so I had the second Tech Marine. but like it still felt like I just had nothing to trade ever. And 40k is a game where trading is very common these days. I really needed to get value out of the Alpha Strike, right? Like, I had to get tons of value out of the Stormraven to make space for my reserves, because both my Centurions and Sternguard were walking in from the edge of the board. So it really depended on, like, the Stormraven had to get forward into a great position, unload, and do a lot of damage. And in some games it did, in other games it didn't. In some of the games I was scared, probably inexperienced playing the list. So I don't know if I played super well, but I wouldn't take this list again. Like, it was fun, and it had a ton of damage, but I think that's pretty much where it ended, right? Like, it was designed as a list that could do a ton of damage, and my goodness, it could do that, right? Because the reserves were walking on the edge of the board, it was rough. I had nothing particularly to hold objectives, and I had nothing with particularly high OC either, right? Like, Gilliman is the only thing that I had with high OC. I know he has an aura that gives me +1 OC around him, but typically he was off doing things. He needed to be killing stuff in this list, because he was really my only big melee threat beyond the Dreadnought. And I think Brutalis Dreadnoughts are worth 160 points. They only get 6 attacks, so you probably miss a couple. So realistically, like, it only AP 2. Like, when the Brutalis Dreadnought, I think, slammed into, like, Terminators, it's killing, like, 1 Terminator, maybe 2 if you're lucky. It's really, I actually think it's really, really poor for such an expensive unit. There's also only 12 unique drops here as well. So if I lost a couple of units very quickly, I felt starved in terms of doing actions on secondaries. I think there was only one, I think I'm lying here. There was 2 invulnerable saves in the whole list. I think it was Gilliman and Tigris. I think Tigris never actually had to make saves because he was just walking around with 10 Sternguard, and the 10 Sternguard were obliterating things. The problem was they were never obliterating things meaningfully enough to score me enough points. But yeah, so I think there was only 2 invuln saves in the whole list. There's also no way to strip cover. I felt like that would have helped this list no end. Like, maybe one of the little Storm Strike hazard things, whatever, Storm Strike, Hail Strike or something I think it's called. A way to strip cover would have been very useful, especially with my Sternguard only being 1 AP, my bikes only being 1 AP. The Hellblaster's AP of 3 is pretty good, but it might have saved me some as well if I didn't have to overcharge. Like, there's some situations where it's like, oh, I don't need to overcharge, but then you'll Armor of Contempt, so I'm just going to overcharge anyway. So a way to strip cover, like, I could probably, like, just dinghy the Stormraven and put in, like, a unit to strip cover and then have another 150 points and probably get rid of the Dreadnought. Like, I actually, when I first came away from this event, I was like, I think there is, like, a strong Stormlance list in here, right? Like, we get rid of the Flyer, and we get rid of the Dreadnought, and maybe we get rid of one of the Tech Marines, or maybe even both, and get some Impulsors, and get some sticky objectives, and get some actions going. Like, I think there could be a strong Stormlance list in here. I might revisit it, but right now, I think after this event, I want to play Blood Angels again, and I've just seen a Blood Angels list that looks super cool and is going to be my video on Friday. So I want to talk about that, and I want to play Blood Angels, and hopefully this time next week, I'll get back onto a live game on Wednesday night, and we'll play some Blood Angels. So I think I needed this to, like, cleanse, to reset, to take a new perspective, and I want to build a new Blood Angels list, but yeah, I did think in the because I only lost 2 games by, like, 2 points, and one of the games that I lost, I actually tabled my opponent. I say tabled, he had 1 unit left, and I had 1,200 points of stuff on the table or something. So it was like, a couple of games could have flipped, and then I probably should have won the game that I tabled him. I just wasn't scoring. But it made me sort of think that, like, yes, with getting rid of a few of the units and putting some more optimal stuff in here, Stormlance is actually a very competitive detachment. There's a lot you can do with Stormlance. I would need more practice, and I would also need to stop taking stupid units. But, yeah, and right after the event, the first thing I was thinking was, like, or maybe it was, like, during the event, I was like, do you know what, with a few changes here, and obviously the big change is get rid of the Stormraven, because it's honestly a liability. That would help me a lot, right? And then, yeah, like, I think I mentioned this earlier, right? No one beat me in a practice game, and I feel you need to lose practice games to refine and improve a list. Ideally, what would have happened in like a couple of practice games is the Stormraven would have died. Probably not to indirect fire, but maybe, like, losing it to indirect fire one time was enough to sort of say, like, if I can lose this unit to indirect fire, then in my opinion, because it costs so much, it's probably not a viable unit. I mean, I probably knew it wasn't a viable unit before that, but that was sort of like the icing on the cake. I was like, okay, if you're going to take this to an event and lose it to indirect fire, yeah, you can't be spending 280 points on that. You know, I could have taken everything that was in it and broke it into 2 impulsors and probably still had another 100 points for a whole other unit or something like that, right? And that would have probably been just better. So that was the first-hand learnings of playing Stormlance at an event. At this point, I just made a video about how we deal with Death Shroud. I didn't actually have to deal with Death Shroud at this event. I had to deal with Deathwing Knights, which are crazy. I mean, they may be even better than Death Shroud. -1 to wound, -1 damage, armor of contempt potential, 4 wounds per model. Maybe that's for another video. But if you haven't watched this video and you've been struggling against Death Guard, then that's definitely worth a watch. You can support the channel on Patreon or via the links in the description. I hope you learned something. If you are thinking about Stormlance, leave me a comment down below on your list and I can give you some advice. But yeah, I think that there is a competitive... Like, I think Stormlance is a cool detachment. It is different. It is fun. Reactive moves are a lot of fun. Sternguard and Hellbasters are really, really fun in that detachment. Guilliman's really fun as well, actually, because I barely shot his gun. I'm just advancing and charging all the time with Guilliman. He's moving through walls. Against the Dark Angels player, actually, he dived into like his 10 Sternguard on the Azrael, and I was really hopeful he was going to do great things. We did kill all the Sternguard, but that's as far as it went. But yeah, so please do subscribe. Please do leave a like. I'll be back on Friday looking at Blood Angels lists. My little period of Stormlance has ended. There might be another period in the future. There probably will be. I think it was really refreshing. I think it was something that I probably really needed. I'm not gonna stop buying Marines for other chapters. Last edition I bought back Templars. This edition I've been buying Ultramarines. Maybe next edition I'll buy some friggin' Dark Angels. Those filthy heretics. But yeah, so I think it's fun. I think it opens your eyes. And I was gonna say, if you're ever frustrated, it's something that I would 100% do again. And there's something fun about going to a tournament where you are not putting a crazy amount of pressure on yourself, because that's what I always do with Blood Angels. So, I'll see you on Friday for the tactics video, guys. I hope you had a great week. Thanks so much for watching. By the blood, are we made strong? Peace.